In the early summer of 1764, panic and terror ruled over the rural parts of France. Attacks from a vicious beast, killing women, children, and livestock alike as its prey. What was the creature? Why did it kill so many of the innocent? And does this creature have any relevancy today? Listen and find out. This is Cryptid Talk. Hello, everyone. Ugh, what a good start. How is everyone doing today? Hope everyone's having a very swell Friday weekend, whatever day you're listening to this at, and I hope it's going well. Hope you had a good week, and I hope you're slowly getting ready for Thanksgiving, which is coming up soon, very very soon. And yeah, I hope everyone's having a good fall. Fall for me is probably one of my favorites because we're now away from like mostly the hot weather. I prefer cold because it's so much easier getting warmer than it is to be cool, especially if you're like in public. Because technically in public, you can only take off so much clothes before it becomes indecent. While in colder areas, you can add on things to be warmer. But even then, it's even those areas that if you were to take everything off, you'd still be hot because the sun is just still pounding down onto you from the snow from above. Sure, maybe in the shade, maybe, but even then, there's still no full like I take everything off, I'm all good. No, that doesn't work like that. The sun is still on you, and you will fry up like a lobster. Well, if you're cold, like let me put some extra layers on and a hat and gloves. I feel good now. I can trot around like nothing. La da da da. But no, that doesn't work like in the heat. But I always love fall because I like it. I like snow when we start getting to winter, and hopefully get some more good snow this year. We got a good amount of snow last year over here in eastern Pennsylvania, southeastern Pennsylvania. So hopefully we do pretty good again. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Michael Madden, and you are listening to Cryptid Talk, my podcast that I do just for fun, talking about everything I love about cryptozoology and everything in between. And from the things under the ground, on the ground, in the water, in the air, and everything in between. I just talk about fun stuff and everything like that. We are almost to episode 30. Right now, today's episode 28. So this is gonna be a good one. This is one I was going to do last week, but I need a bit more time to prepare. And even then, there is still so much information that I just didn't that I just kind of just glossed over because it wouldn't be as. Let's just say there's a lot of information about this one, a lot, and obviously we will do I'll do my very best to get as much of the interesting information as I can out there and stuff like that. But before we start, again, if this is your first time here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, share, comment, all the other no YouTubey stuff. All that helps me out greatly because each for every like, comment, share, comment, and like subscribe that I get and everything like that, it all helps me get more suggested into other people's feeds of hey, you like this stuff? Why don't you check this channel out? Helps me out. Helped me out a bunch more than people think. So, all of you that have done it so far, thank you very much. We're still kind of far from our 100 subscriber goal for this year, but we still got the rest of November and all of December left. So we still got chances. So be sure to share. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your dog, tell your neighbor's dog. And then if you need to, tell your neighbor's cat but he'll probably be like, meow, because cats are cats. So today, so I forget what there's called now. Okay, so today we're going to do a very interesting episode. It's an ancient cryptid from as you listened from 1764, and we will be talking about now. This because this is good. This is from France, so it's got those. I asked someone about this. I asked about it earlier. Now I forget, but when you look at the actual spelling of the word, it has some like those marks above it that like depending on certain languages it changes like the abbreviation of a letter or something like that. So in my mind, it's either pronounced we were talking about the Beast of Gevaudan or Gevaudan or something like that. I'm pretty sure it's not Gevaudan. I think it might be Gevaudan. Depending on how whatever that does to like the words and stuff like that. But yeah, we were talking about the Beast of Gevaudan. This is a very interesting story that I think out of just from initial search of like stuff that I know about this stuff so far, I think this cryptid story might have one of the biggest body counts of any cryptid that I'm aware of. Animals, and unfortunately humans. And it's a pretty interesting story. I swore I thought it was Monster Quest. That I saw a documentary talking about this thing in particular, and unfortunately I don't believe it was because I looked through all the episodes of Monster Quest on Amazon. I looked through all the episodes. I looked through it on the internet. To see like to show a list of all their episodes or all their seasons. I didn't see anything about it. So no, hold on. Before we get into the meat of it, we're gonna check it real quick. Monster Quest. There we go. Episode guide. Excuse me. Canine, line of backyard, joining the real hobbit, the American Michigan. Interesting though looking it up online just briefly, the image that they are using for the American werewolf, it looks like one of the pictures for the Beast of Gevaudan, but I know that's not it because when I was starting to rewatch the show, rewatching it, I remember watching that episode and it definitely was not about it. Hairy bees, chupacabra, giant bear, giant monster spiders, heck to the no. Season 3, Death Loch Ness, Swamp Stalker, Devil New Jersey, do. And before anyone asks why, like, oh, why haven't you done the Jersey Devil yet? Well, there is a reason, but you have to wait and see to find out what that is. But we definitely got something in mind for it, that's for sure. That Tear in the Sky, Bell Snowman, all right. And we got, I got a special episode planned for the Jersey Devil, so you all just got to wait just a little bit longer. And yeah, I looked and there was nothing. So I don't know where this. Well, for a second I thought we stopped recording. I almost lost myself there. So I don't know where this was, but it was the first time I really heard about it. It was very interesting because, well, let's just let's just get into it. Really, yeah, because this is probably the most notes I think I've had for any episode. I've got 3 pages of notes for this. Possibly could have done 4 if I kept going, but yeah. So there's a lot of notes for this. Again, I didn't even do all of this. So let's just start with this. So the attacks of this creature started from 1764 to 1767 in the I should have practiced this beforehand. Marguerite Mountains. In the Marguerite Mountains in France. Stories, there were reports of this 4-legged animal attacking and killing people, livestock. A lot of times women and children, but even with the occasional lone man that was alone and not near anyone else being taken out. It was a 4-legged creature of terror and pure evil as described by a lot of people. Initially, the people said the initial kill count of the creature was from 60 to 100 people and animals, women, children, and livestock. But apparently, around like the mid-late 1990s, they actually believe the kill count actually may have been higher, to possibly up to 210. And that's a lot. That's a lot for this kind of creature and stuff like that, and especially something that's been passed down for so long, and in like almost 300 years. So that's pretty crazy and stuff like that. Its range, apparently they guesstimate that the habitat of this creature was very large. It was 56 by 50 miles of this creature's range, and that's pretty crazy. Actually, let's see. Okay. Walls. Territory range. Okay. We'll get to that in a little bit. Because, yeah, there is so much to talk about, different theories and a bunch of other fun stuff. So I hope you people are strapped in and stuff like that. So the description of the creature varied greatly. Some stories went from it being like a werewolf or like a sorcerer who would shapeshift to descriptions of a wolf, a dog, even some apparently thinking it might be like a hyena. Some reports even said that it actually might have been a man who was wearing the pelt of a wolf and murdering people. And the descriptions, don't stop there. Let's see, where is it? Okay, so I'm going to quote here what I'm reading real quick, or from this article that I have. Quote: "The beast is a quadruped about the size of a horse. It reminds witnesses of a bear, female hyena due to its large size, wolf and panther all at once. It has a long wolf-like or pig-like snout, lined with large teeth. The ears are small and round, lying close to the head. The neck is long and strong. The tail somewhat resembles the tail of a panther, but is also so thick and strong that the beast uses it as a weapon, knocking men and animals down with it. Anyone struck by the tail reports that it hit with considerable force. The feet of the beast are the hardest to describe. Some say that it has cloven hooves, or that each digit is tipped with a hoof. Others say that claws are so heavy, thick, and formidable that they merely resemble hooves." End quote. So, lots of different descriptions of the creature. Some, this obviously all this happened within a span of 3 years, and stories, like people just, especially if there might be some animals that some people may not be used to, may have perhaps, like seen stuff like that, or may not have known exactly what they're looking at, but let's go to animals in France. Oh, sorry. Wild animals in France. Thank you, Google. So I'm gonna read a quick little list of animals that do live in the wildlife of France. We have wild boar. We have deer, wolf. We got a lynx, brown bear, ibex, which is kind of like a goat-like creature. Red, fox, a badger. And there's many other animals and stuff like that, but and of course, they got like wild cats and just like normal wild like feral cats and stuff like that. So a very interesting range of animals that live in the areas in and around France. Trust me, there's a reason of me mentioning all this, and we will get there. Another interesting description of the creature, not really so a description, just a observation that a lot of people made, is that when all these killings started, of course, people with the guns, like hunters and stuff like that, had to try to protect themselves and their family, everyone, that they would shoot at it. And reports say that the bullets just seemed to like bounce off it, like it really didn't do anything. So when doing research for this, I wanted to look up, like, okay, what animals, are known to, have very tough skin that back in these modern times of of early-ish guns, how well would they have done against some thicker skinned animals, and also might have been around this area. looking up real quick, there really wasn't much that people would be like misidentified as. Hmm. The only thing that would even came close to it was a Wolverine. Wait, no, it wasn't a Wolverine. No, maybe it was. Hold on. Mammals with tough skin. Yeah, it was a honey badger. So the animals on this list include elephant, honey badger, the whale shark, crocodiles, camels, bison, hippopotamus, rhinoceros, armadillo, and sperm whale. So obviously, most of these things are definitely not native to France. And I don't think a honey badger is either. Honey badgers are really only in Africa, are in distributed in Africa, Southwest Asia, and in parts of India. So definitely nowhere near France, that's for sure. So I was thinking like, okay, maybe something could have been misidentified as like a known animal that just had tougher than normal skin for animals that would be around the area. But none of that. Like, I don't think there would be a hippo around there or any of these bigger land mammals or anything like that. Especially not like like a rhinoceros or a hippo, stuff like that. Definitely not. There were also some stories of it supposedly walking on its hind legs. Very interesting, very curious, right? That kind of matches with some of the descriptions of what people thought it was, being like a werewolf-like creature, like a sorcerer, or a man wearing the pelt of a wolf. So some things are connecting a little bit, but let's keep going. We got a lot to cover, a lot. So, and around these early story times of the creature being seen, a young woman who saw it for the first time before the attack started happening, it said it looked like a wolf, but not a wolf. There really wasn't much else from the description. That is just what the creature what the woman said. Let's see if I can find it again. Okay, no. Color. Beginning. Okay, here we go. Quote, I'm going to read this real quick. The beast of Gevaudan committed its first recorded attack in early summer of 1764. A young woman who was tending cattle in the McCoyer Forest near the town of Langon, in the eastern part of Gevaudan, saw a beast, wolf-like but not a wolf, come at her. However, the bulls in the herd that she was, taking care of, charged the beast, keeping it at bay, which then drove it off after it tried to attack a second time. and then later on, okay, so we're gonna stop there for a second. So unfortunately, there's really not much more description about. Oh wait, hold on. What's this? Huh. What was the beast of? Oh my god, was this the special? No, I feel like I saw this much later on. Some sort of apparently History Channel did a thing about it. Okay, we will come back to this later. This is definitely interesting facts. But anyhow, so this young woman, obviously probably used to growing up to seeing the animal that she's used to seeing. There are wolves around there, especially in the rural parts of France. So definitely something that they wouldn't be like unheard of to see. Because like obviously if you live out there and you live in nature, you're gonna run into the wildlife at some point, or at least definitely see and hear wolves, because wolves, as are very very vocal. They're they're little the wolf howls that made them so famous. But it's very interesting that, because obviously knowing what a wolf looks like very clearly knows what one looks like. She said it was like a wolf but not a wolf. So So now we go back to the description a little bit of some of how people describe, like looking having more like rounded ears and having like the long nose or snout, which I'd probably be more of like had the long snout like all most canines do. But the fact that it said it wasn't, it's like, all right, what could that mean? Like, what could she have seen? Like, what was this creature, and stuff like that. Let's see. And then, and another interesting thing about a lot is it was either a lot or most of the victims they were attacked at their heads and necks. Most of the time, they weren't even being eaten; they were just being attacked. Now, some of these things aren't saying that they were eaten or anything like that, but they were just saying they were attacked and it was brutal. Their head and neck was what was attacked, and just nothing really like they went there for the kill, and then that was it. Didn't go like a normal predator who'd be eating and stuff like that. So let's see. Did we start all this? Okay. So around the time, when all these attacks started, it was summer, and unfortunately, these attacks kept happening, and it was that, and then of course and like people were unfortunately were dying to this creature, and they weren't able to stop it. It wasn't then until late December when rumors went around that it actually may have been a pair of creatures, not just one. Because we're going to go back a little bit. And when I said that the creature apparently had like a territory range of 56 to 50 miles, that's a pretty big range. So the thing I was looking up earlier was that I want to look up the territory range for wolves. And it is astounding how big the territory range of our wolves are. I think wolves might have one of the biggest territory ranges of probably of any mammal. Because just a fun coincidence, below they have other large mammals in their territory range. Before we see the wolf, let's go over some of these other ones real quick. Tigers, they have a 23 to 39 mile range of territory. Hyenas, 17 to 28. Leopards have 19. Wolverines, surprising enough, have like a 50 to 100 mile territory range. That's pretty crazy. But a wolf can have a possible territory range of 13 miles to 2,000 and to 2,400 miles of territory. That's crazy that wolves can have such a large area of territory. Now, the larger number may be like a very, very few cases, or maybe a little exaggerated possibly, but regardless though, because wolves are obviously a pack animal and travel along with the herds and other prey and stuff like that, so they have to do a lot of traveling to get to where the food is. So them saying that they have such a large range may not be that unheard of. They may travel from one part of an area and travel all the way over to the one part for food, and then travel the other way back for for food that might be back in that season. So it's crazy how far of a range they have. So wolves would not be that unheard of to have such a wide range of territory to be able to to maybe make sense of this 56 by 50 mile territory range that this creature supposedly had, just because of where it had. So now when we go back to them saying there might be a pair, sure, to some people who may not be, now I don't know when this information found out or when people figured out like the territory range of wolves. This may have been a more like a recent thing that found out, and people may not have had much of an idea back then, or like, oh, this is a crazy range. But like the other reason why, just by the territory size, the size of these attacks itself, was also how often these attacks were happening. Now, I don't know. Unfortunately, not a lot of this is saying what the animal life around there was during the time during like summer. I would think summer, like things would be pretty bountiful bountiful with food. Especially there are deer, and there's a lot of other animals that wolves can hunt. So unless there was like for some reason there was just nothing in that area because the wolves were there, and they drove them off. So they had to get desperate, and unfortunately had to attack humans and their livestock. But I don't believe. But I can't say for sure because I don't know what the time around that was. So very strange that let's say there is plenty of food there, and the fact that they would go for humans or at least take that chance. Because the interesting thing is that normally now, if this was a pair, like a breeding pair of wolves, maybe like a pup or two, they obviously would obviously need some food to be able to sustain it. A lot of times wolves hunt in packs. And when they hunt in packs, they work together to take down the prey, making it a lot easier. Instead of a lone wolf that's on its own has a much harder time getting food. Where when it's alone and it's hungry, it kind of gets desperate. Well, it won't be because most wolves are very cautious, calculative, and very smart on how they approach. But a lone wolf that's desperate for food and is hungry, it may not take those precautions, and it might just take any chance it gets. There's a story I remember from many years ago of a camper who was sleeping. Next thing you know, woke up to a lone wolf's jaws around his head, slowly crushing his skull. Luckily, he was able to wake up and shoot the thing off, and he was able to survive his attack. But this was in a this was like yeah, sure, the guy was sleeping on the ground, not in a tent. But the fact that this thing came into a camp with other people who were sleeping, and this thing tried to take an opportunity of the sleeping person, there's nothing more dangerous than a cornered, injured, tired animal, and especially when it's hungry. One of the most dangerous animals to ever deal with of any kind, because they're desperate for an escape or for food, or they feel threatened. They will do anything they can to escape the situation, even if that means they have to go through you to get out of it or to get rid of you to feel safe. So it's interesting that if this was the case of being a lone wolf who was hungry and desperate, that it must have thought it possibly that if it was a lone wolf and it was having a tough time getting food, because you had a tough time taking it down, maybe it saw humans as an easier opportunity than people who were alone, women, children, had an easier opportunity of taking down them than deer, because deer's senses are wicked good with their heat, with like everything, their ears and everything like that. If you ever really watch the deer's ears, they're kind of like a parabolic scope, like on a submarine, or like a telescope. They're just like going these different directions, listening for sounds and everything. And so they might be tough to hear. Well, as humans, wait, our senses are nowhere near as good as animals, so we're probably seen as easier prey. So that could have made sense that this might have been like a lone wolf. The story of these attacks then spread all over Europe, and people came to help, like kings and queens, and would send their men, and a lot of people came to help take care of this creature. 2 hunters were hired to track and kill the beast. I was originally going to say their names, but their names are very difficult and long, and I really don't feel like butchering them. So if you're curious what these 2 hunters names were called, look it up and you'll find it. But I'm like, okay, I'll read these. I'm like, no, I am not reading those names at all. So let's see. So, and of course, from December of this until August, where our next part of our journey starts or continues, there were attacks that were still happening. Like the killings were still happening, and they couldn't stop it. Like nothing they tried, to do it. And that's when they started getting help and hiring hunters to try and track and kill the beast. Let's see. Okay. Okay, yep. This happened around in February, and unfortunately, they were unsuccessful. So they had to hire more hunters. A lot of people were hired and brought in to try to kill the beast. But then it wasn't until August 11th when the creature was killed. One of the hunters organized a great hunt to search for the creature. And of course, a woman was being attacked by the creature, but they were able to kill it. They managed to place a spear into the heart of the creature, which and which the beast then fell into the river and it disappeared. So unfortunately, the beast's body was actually never officially found, but the creature apparently, was killed and then fell into the river. They were able to find the spear that was covered in blood, but unfortunately, the body of the creature was never found. So whatever the true identity of that one creature is, we will never know. But it was either September 20th or 21st. The website is not 100% sure. A large gray wolf was killed. And after killing it and bringing it to people the area, because there were some survivors of these attacks, they once the people got a good look at this creature and realized that they recognized it and resembled the creature that has been attacking them before. So, and apparently this large gray wolf was supposedly was apparently the accuser of some or at least all of these attacks. All right, we're gonna pause real quick because then what was the first creature that was killed in August? Sure, the time was a little over a month where a creature was killed, but there could have been maybe another wolf or something like that. So obviously, most people might think they see a lone creature. If this is the one that did it and it came and attacked and everything like that. But again, without any real hard evidence of what like the body was and everything else like that, we will never truly know if this was a creature that just happened to be there and was the wrong place at the wrong time for this creature, or was this wolf really the cause of all these attacks this entire time, and this creature was just there when it was, and it just got taken out of just pure coincidence. We will never know because we still don't know 100% what this first creature was. And of course, apparently this wolf that they killed in September had distinguishable marks and cuts, and that were very distinguishable between it. It's kind of like when people go when they go looking for whales. A lot of whales can be described by certain marks on their fins, on their tail fins, and a lot of actually different like fish, giant like sharks and other like sea mammal life. A lot of them can be identified from marks on their dorsal fins or tail fins, and so same idea that people probably recognize the creature, like, oh my god, this is the creature, I remember that mark and everything like that. So hooray, the creature was slain, and for about a month and for a time, attacks did stop. There were no more attacks. No one was dying because people were dying were dying pretty often. In November, no attacks happened. There was nothing. So you had until the end of September and all of November, there were no attacks. Until December, when the attacks happened again. Attacks started happening back up again. And there has no reports. Okay, we no longer. And then no one, and then then these attacks just started, just started coming up again. More people were dying and everything else like that. And it was unfortunately, of course, more people were dying. And then the beast continued to attack throughout 1766, but its mode of operation had changed. It seemed less enterprising and much more cautious, as revealed by various correspondents, including some people who got a good look at it. And then in 17, okay, unlike it did before, okay. And then, of course, at the beginning of 1767, the attacks experienced a slight lull. What the heck does that mean? They seemed to stop, but resumed in the spring. The populace no longer knew what to do except to pray. because obviously being part very religious and everything else, like, and very very religious. It wasn't until then later on when Jean Castel was the man that finally killed and brought down the creature for good. The body was loaded onto a horse and brought to some people for it to be looked at and analyzed by a doctor. The results of the exam were consistent with a large wolf or wolf dog, but so after some distance of the person bringing the corpse back, excuse me, it was believed that the creature was either very wolf-like or wolf-dog-like. But supposedly, on how long it took for the body to be examined, it had decomposed and was very hard to really get an accurate description of it, and made it difficult to fully be able to identify the creature. So the real identity of the creature is still inconclusive. Let's see. Hypotheses. Okay. And so that is the story. That's the main story of it. Again, there's a lot more to it, a lot more stuff into there. So who really knows, for sure. So, what was it? So, in the initial thing here, I didn't find anything about it right here. So, look, we're going to go back a little bit to some of the culprits of what this creature was. So obviously, we had like the werewolf or the sorcerer that we shape into it, the wolf or the dog or the hyena. Hyena, that's kind of weird, right? Well, we'll get into that. We'll get to that shortly. So the only reason that some reports say that or some of these suggestions that might be some sort of werewolf-like creature was that some people swore that they saw it stand on their hind legs and run on two legs instead of the normal four that you'd see on a wolf. So, very interesting thing to say, because normally wolves don't normally stand on their hind legs. Only if for any reason they had to like jump up and try to grab something, like maybe like a bird or something along those lines. So they really wouldn't run away on two legs. But the fact that some of these descriptions were seen as that makes you then wonder, what did they see? Okay, so very interesting for sure. Of course, then we have like the generic ones of like like a lone wolf or a wolf pack. The one thing I actually didn't mention was that the wolf that was killed, that was identified by survivors, apparently also did have a mate and two pups. Well, unfortunately, being as humans as they are, try to protect themselves and everything like that, the rest of the family was unfortunately taken out. Unfortunately, just because like, oh, there was more. Let's get them. They don't hurt us anymore. Kind of thing. So unfortunately, that unfortunately did happen. Whether or not they all were involved, or anything like that, hard to say. So okay, so there possibly goes a two thing, of the two creatures that were that they think they might have been a pair. Okay. We have the male and you have the female both hunting, trying to support themselves, but of course also their pups. But even at the same time, though, the attacks of when these kind of started in late December, and like in them considering pups, were a little bit, well, not necessarily, because they did say when they came and tried to see the pups, when they tried to find the mom and the pups, they did say that the one pup definitely did seem a lot bigger than the mother. So interesting along that sense. Maybe they weren't pups, or maybe they were a pack. Hard to say. But so okay, so because obviously wolves would make the most sense. That is a known animal that lives in there, and like I mentioned earlier, a lone wolf can be very dangerous when it is hungry and will take any chance that it can get to feed. Of course, dogs, kind of weird, and then of course, the one really weird suggestion of them being hyenas. So nothing I saw here that I saw talked about it. Let me take a look because there's a little section here talking about the hypotheses of what it was. Um, okay, tried to kill a man. I've hit for it despite when okay, now there's a large feral dog or a wolf dog was responsible. Okay, so trust me, there's other stuff I talked about earlier that we will get back to. We're going to go with the hyena one for now. So another theory when I initially saw this on the TV show, whatever it was, might have been the History Channel one I saw. I thought I just saw it noticed here, and when I'll look into it later. Yeah, that one of the theories was that it possibly could have been but it could have been a hyena because of some of the descriptions of it and everything else like that, and how apparently it looked because one person said that it looked like a large female hyena. And if you didn't know this, actually, if you've actually watched Lion King, especially the live action remake from a few years ago, the female hyenas are actually the leaders of a hyena pack. They are the alpha in the sense, the matriarch of the group, and they rule it all. So how that female hyena was the ruler of all those hyenas there, and they're all terrified of her because she was the leader of all of them. So, and then of course, that being that, hyenas would then mean that would be bigger than all the males and any other, and everything like that. So descriptions of it, being a big hyena pretty, impressive nonetheless. Let's go to Google. Female hyena size. So hyenas, can grow to a pretty decent size. Let's see. Let's see if we can get the height. Height. Oh, so far at the moment the female hyenas can weigh from 98 to 141 pounds. So, okay, and looking at the picture of description compared to a human, it probably gets around to its waist when it's standing on all fours. So that's probably about like maybe 2.5, 3, like 3 feet off the ground, 3 feet height or so. Uh, height. Okay, yeah. About 2.5 to 3 feet. So okay, so interesting, decent size too, because obviously, female hyenas being bigger, it would look like bulkier and stuff like that. And of course, during these times of the, yeah, but during these times, like a lot of people had like menageries and other like groups of like animals that they had collected, and some of these attacks may have been escaped, possibly hyenas. But one interesting theory that I saw that made it because that made it very questionable was that one of the theories was that the attacker may have either all or some of the attacks may have been by a hyena, but it may have been by a trained hyena. Now, if you don't know this about hyenas eat everything. They eat everything on mouth. They will eat all the organs, all the flesh, even all the bone. Hyenas rarely leave anything left behind when they are eating. But of course, a trained animal who may have been learned to just attack to kill at the throat or the face would kill the prey there, and then would be trained to walk away and not eat, so you're not really discovered or anything like that. I don't really remember. There's not really much evidence of this, but there was possibly one theory of people, describing, as looking at like a hyena, and then of course, people come and like get like hypotheses on why that's a thing. Like, how does that happen? How can a hyena, be the cause of these attacks? And obviously, they are not native to France or anything like that. They're an animal of Africa. Of course, if someone had a pet and they wanted to cause some murder, they train the hyena to do these attacks, and then would get to a retreat and stuff like that. So, it's definitely a very interesting theory because trying to be like, all right, hyenas don't live here, but some people are describing it to look like a hyena, so obviously it must, because a hyena and a wolf are two completely different looking animals. Hyenas have, the don't have really tails or long tails like at all. Well, wolves obviously have the very long, distinguishable long tails, and of course, wolves also have, their pointy ears. Sure, hyenas do have pointy ears, but they are a little bit rounded. Kind of match in description a little bit of the rounded ears, a little bit, but definitely you can't like they got little tails, but like you definitely can't misidentify a hyena and a wolf because hyenas have specks on them and stuff like that, and you can't misidentify them for one or the other. So if people said they saw a hyena, is very possible they could have seen a hyena. There also, there's also a thing called a striped hyena, which is a more rare version of it. Kind of looks like a hyena, but has some stripes on it. But again, hyenas and wolves don't look alike, so you couldn't really be able to identify it as such. Some people thought, continuing on with the menagerie idea, that maybe it was maybe some sort of like big cat that escaped from somewhere. Google again. Wild animals in France. And the only other, big cats that lived in that area are lynxes, and they're probably one of the smaller of the big cat species, but definitely nothing that I would feel like would even consider taking down a grown person. Like small child, maybe, but even then, they are not very big, and they don't normally try to get large prey like that unless they try going for like deer and stuff like that to support their family. But definitely nothing that would be maybe a mass murder of all these other things. Sure, the face and neck is very identifiable of a big cat. Big cats like lions, tigers, bear, and not bears. Oh my! And then like any other large pieces of cat. What they do when they hunt is they go for the throat of the animal, not to rip it out, but they go in there, grab it to then suffocate it. They suffocate. They grab it. They get a good hold of that windpipe, and then they chomp down onto it, making the animal not breathe, shortly killing it right afterwards. So the attacks are very feline. So definitely interesting along those lines. Now, hyenas, they kind of just go into you and just go. They just munch on you and eat you. Like they don't really have most of the time they kind of when hyenas are in a pack, they surround their prey on all sides and kind of just go in from there and then take it down. They don't really have like a strategy. They just swarm the thing, take it down. That's really their strategy. That's all they got. They got nothing else. So it had some very interesting things that might have been like a cat, but who knows for sure. Another interesting thing, we're gonna go back a little bit to when the creature was first spotted by the young woman who said it looked like a wolf but not a wolf, to where some people think that it might have been some sort of wolf dog, a dog that had mated with a wild wolf and created like this wolf dog hybrid. Now today in nature, that's actually not uncommon. We've got coy wolves with the combination of a coyote and a wolf, and just fair and like dogs and wolves. Like the combination of these things, do happen in nature. So part of that could make sense that someone said, "Oh, it looks like a wolf, but not a wolf," because possibly those dog features may have thrown it off a little bit of the not looking like a wolf parts. So very interesting. But of course, some animals like that. Obviously, animals like that are technically not natural, but they do happen. So it could be possible that they got a little bit more dangerous or a little bit more like threatening, when they have like this little combination of a dog and a wolf, but nothing that I would think that would do all this. Sure, I, it is possible that some of these attacks were made by a lone wolf who was trying to feed his family, or was just or a wolf that was trying to feed its family, or a lone wolf that was trying to feed itself because it was so hungry and desperate for food, and and then people who were alone and small children and livestock were seen as easy prey, and they took it. But the fact that there were this many kills and attacks definitely makes it interesting. Now, I also do remember from initially hearing the story that around the time when some of these attacks were stopped, there was apparently a man, like some of these more bipedal dog like wolf like sightings. Apparently, one of the people actually may have been a man wearing a wolf pelt who was using it as a disguise to get around and to then help commit some of these murders. Now, apparently, this man was, I think, like captured or killed, something like that, and some of these attacks stopped. But then again, they all started back up. Most of these attacks all started back up. And looking at initially, some of these attacks apparently the last known sighting of the creature apparently actually happened in the 1800s. So what's going on? And unfortunately, this thing doesn't really talk about these 1800 attacks. They just stopped at the last one, or attacks and everything like and else like that. Based on basic Powerwall. Yeah. So, and of course, some of these other like people thinking like, oh, maybe it was like a bear kind of thing, and sure, yeah, bears are pretty, are big animals. You got brown bears, and they guess they kind of maybe might seem hyena like. The only other interesting thing about looking at this right now is that this creature, like, it doesn't say what time of day a lot of these attacks happen. I kind of think it was both. I think it was mostly at night, but obviously, creature makes more sense. A lot of predators hunt at night to make it easier to sneak up on prey and take them down. But I don't want to make sure I don't lose my place. But yeah, so we have these descriptions of these, of all these different things that look like werewolves and like normal animals. Even though hyenas would be very hard, this would be very hard to to suggest that, but there were still sightings and reports of people saying it looked like a hyena of some sort in some cases. So now we come to the conclusion: what was the beast of Gevaudan? Like, what was it? Was it this one solo creature, or was it multiple? Or like, sure, we had the one creature that died and attack stopped for a little bit, but then they started back up, stopped, and then started back up again. So it is very possible this may have just been an unfortunate circumstance of multiple creatures in the same area doing these attacks, but obviously, of course, everyone thinking that they were actually just it was actually just one. And then, of course, then the theory of thinking of like, oh, well, maybe it is, a pair of creatures because of how often these attacks were and where, and, the range of when they happen. So it's very possible that this may have just been done by multiple creatures or beings during this time. and then makes you wonder, like, okay, what's going on kind of here? What's going on here kind of thing. And then, of course, the one wolf was identified by some of the survivors. So that wolf might have been the problem for some of these attacks. All of them, we don't know. Especially after some creature was killed on the bridge with a spear, but unfortunately, with no like way to recover the body, we don't know for sure exactly what it was, and if it was the one attacking it, or it just happened to be the wrong place at the wrong time, and they thought, "Oh, creature's attacking us. This is the creature. Kill it," kind of thing. When it just may have been like, "Yo, what are you doing here? You're in my territory, rawr," kind of thing. And then it was then taken out. We don't know. So this all comes down to another very interesting thing. So does this story of the Beast of Gevaudan have any relevancy to today? Possibly. Just recently, I heard there's a podcast that I listened to, and this person has a website where they have people submit, their true encounters, as they say, very creepy things that happen to them in the world with monsters, ghosts, weird and strange people, and stuff like that. And one of the stories involved the area of Gevaudan in France. Two women went to explore the area, hearing about the legends, and decided to we're gonna go explore the area ourselves. And during their encounter, during their adventure, they supposedly had an encounter with a dogman werewolf like creature there. That both women were able to get away safely, but apparently it had these piercing yellow eyes and 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 of course tried to attack them and everything else like that, and they got away. And when they went back to the village, they're like, what did you see? You saw it, didn't you? And people are like, wait, what? Wait, so the story's real? And they're like, no, maybe, but this thing's been here for a while, kind of thing. So now, obviously, hearing this story, this then completely opens up the possibility of what the hell was the Beast of Gevaudan? Was it something? Was it something known? Was it multiple creatures? Was it something that like one predator died and another predator came in and took its territory? That's very possible. But now we have this attack of this encounter, which happened in the past few years, I believe, of in the same general forested area of where these attacks happened. These two women have an encounter with some sort of dogman like creature. So it's like, does this open up so much more possibility of the original story? Absolutely. At least in my opinion, I believe it does. Because now it thinks like, was this entire time, was this maybe truly a werewolf, like a sorcerer doing kind of shape shifting thing, like, or was it like our shapeshifter, or was this like a werewolf dogman like creature the entire time? And obviously, if you've ever heard stories of dogmen are very big creatures. They can be from 7 to 8 feet tall, very muscular, strong, and fast, and very ravenous in ways too. So, could it be possible that like the size of this creature, its weird description of it, the fact that it looked on its hind legs, it was very bulky and big, like a female hyena, had the look of a wolf, the long snout and the ears and the tail, and are all of these descriptions that people are giving of this weird hybrid like creature, were all these really just a description of a dog man that has brought that either that one or a pack of them or a family of them or whatever has been living in this area of France for over 200 for math real quick, for almost 3 or for less than 300 years. That is very possible. I truly do think that this story needs to be reopened back up again, and maybe looked into a bit closer to see if there's any other descriptions that can lead toward this. Sure, this is a very far fetched shot of this actually possibly just being a dog man the entire time, because obviously people don't believe in the dog existence of the dog man already. But the descriptions that people are giving of the creature and how surprisingly similar they are to modern day reports of dogman in the United States and other parts of the world, can't be something that can be ignored so easily. There has to be more to it than just that. So I don't know. Was this truly just a bunch of different creatures? When one predator was taken out, another predator came and took its territory? Was this multiple creatures and unfortunately just happened in a small little village of easy picking people? Or was it a person in a werewolf sorcerer? Or was a hyena being trained by a man? Or was it really a dogman like werewolf creature this entire time? We probably may never know. Sure, I do believe that some of these attacks may have been done by this wolf that they were able to identify from survivors. I believe it might have been a multitude of different things. But let's just say let's throw the dogman out. Let's throw the dogman idea away for a second, and let's say all these attacks were truly just made by normal animals and possibly some crazy people wearing wolf pelts and trained hyenas. If that was all the case, Now, why in that same area do we now have dogman-like creatures? For in the same general area of where these attacks happened. Is that a coincidence, or is there more to it than that? Could it really be like I was suggesting before, of when one predator was taking out, another predator took its place, and then some, and then some, and then some? Because a lot of times there's like a hidden boundary of like you stay in your territory and I stay in mine. And could this dogman just be the next thing that's been in this territory for who knows how long, and now it's now the ruler of this area? Who knows? It's truly mind-boggling to think about that, but it's so fascinating because I always thought the story was very interesting. Like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. But then hearing the story about these two women having a possible dogman-like encounter in the same general region of where these attacks used to happen adds so much more light to the story, in my opinion, that we need to look into this a bit more and figure out, what's going on with it. Like, huh? Okay, we'll this. I think this has to be looked into a bit more, and hopefully maybe someday we find out more about it, and some just these attacks that happened just recently for almost 300-year-old legend of a devastating monster. But only time will tell. But it definitely brings a lot more light to it for me, and I think definitely something that needs to be looked into a bit more. But very interesting, very cool. And that is it, folks. That's it. That's the Beast of Gevaudan. Very, very interesting story. Very, very, very tragic story of all those, people and livestock that lost their lives to this creatures, or whatever. What was the true identity of most of those attacks? What was the first creature? What about these attacks afterwards with the wolf? We will never know. Even though the one wolf was identified, I don't think that explains all of it. I mean, and who knows? Maybe who knows how many attacks this wolf truly did do? Maybe this wolf was only part of some of the recent attacks, but not all of them. There's so many questions, so many possibilities with this that I can't even make a full guess on what I think it is. But there definitely is something more going on there, especially with these recent reports of a possible dogman-like creature in that area. It's too much of a coincidence or it's too much of a crazy thing to think it's just a mere coincidence of this happening in the same region of where it used to happen. That's not a coincidence. There's more to it just that. What though? I don't know, and I don't think we will ever know because of how old the story is. But maybe someday some information will pop up that shows another description of the creature and it's standing on two legs. We will never know. But yes, folks, that was the Beast of Gevaudan. I hope everyone enjoyed that one. Probably a new one for a lot of you listeners out there. But I definitely, if this is something new for you, I hope you learned a lot. And if you have heard about this before and you learned a little more new information, great too. That means I'm doing my job correctly, and you're all having fun out there. And that's all this show for, just talking and having fun. And yes, I think that's gonna be it for today. Pretty good episode. This was one that I want to do for a little bit, but now we have all this done and everything. I'm glad that finally got it done, and hearing that recent story really got me interested in wanting to do this. This story again. So you can thank me hearing that story about wanting to. Ooh, all right, we got to do the Beast of Gevaudan. We got to get into this a bit more. But yeah, so what are your theories? What do you think the Beast of Gevaudan was? Do you think it was multiple creatures, multiple different animals? Was it wolves? Trained hyenas, or was all this somehow, at least most of this, some way, some sort of dogman like encounters? We will never know. But give me your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to hear them. So of course, be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff, but also follow the Facebook page. Facebook.com/CryptidTalk. Make sure you head on over there, and be sure you also follow the page. I post things there of some stuff I talk about here, and other things like that. sometime in December, I plan on doing it another poll, where that is, I give you a list of three to five suggestions. I think it was three suggestions, and you vote for what you want the next topic to be about. So keep an eye open on the Facebook page. Make sure you follow it so you get all the updates for it. And of course, if you or someone you know has seen something in the woods, heard something in the world, not even just the woods, but anywhere, in anywhere in nature, in the sky, in the water, anywhere, email me and tell me about it. Cryptidtalk91 at AOL.com. Hopefully, first, but just also, if you are someone who has seen someone, you have emailed me and I haven't seen it, let me know in the comments below, and I'll make sure to try to see, maybe get to work. But I've done a test email, and the email does work. But so that also could just mean I haven't got anything yet. That means that no one has seen anything yet, which is fine. I gotta get more people out there to get interested in it. Of course, I'm still we're trying to get to the 100 subscribers. So be sure you share and tell a friend. But I hope everyone enjoyed this one. This was a fun, exciting one, and I really want to talk about it, and I'm glad, I was finally able to. So remember, friends, keep your eyes and ears open for the creepiness in store, because you never know what you'll find outside of your door. This has been Cryptid Talk with Michael Mann. Have a good day, everyone. Stay safe. Love you all.